This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
You are plugged in for the podcast, Wrestling Society.
Faith is the place in the stash arena.
Remember the Alamo, remember the Rumble, and remember the podcast Wrestling Society. I'm your loving leader, benevolent host, Midwest Monster, and the true master and ruler of the podcast, Troy Adams. And back is my second here today after a long absence. He thinks he's cute. He knows he's meh. He is the Curtis Hughes to my Hunter Hearst-Helmsley. He is Greg. What's up, Greg?
Eat me.
Wait, you didn't want to be Mr. Hughes?
No, that's fine. It's the first part.
Oh, come on. Well,
I hated Mr. Hughes when I was a kid because he was like a heel and beat up all my favorites. Oh, God, I hated him.
Conrad Thompson did make a good point when he was talking about him before to Bruce Pritchard. He was like, why wasn't he part of the Nation? He seemed like he would have been an obvious fit.
Wow, I'm going to leave that one alone.
Well, he was like, and it's not the whole he's black thing, because there were white people in the Nation. We're going to talk about him right here on this pay-per-view. But he's like, just the fact that he's like, he just seems like he would have been a fit. Like, he could have just slipped right in. It's like, yeah, sure, okay, Mr. Hughes is part of the Nation now. But, you know, give him an African name.
I don't even know where the hell he was during that period, so who knows?
He was with Hunter Hearst-Helmsley.
He was with him for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know, but they could have, like, after this ran its course, which was, like you said,
well, the Nation became a thing when, like, TX became a thing. You know, like, they became big.
Yeah, but they were around at this time, like, just getting their sea legs and whatever. Like, that was Farooq's new thing, or Ron's.
I'm pretty sure he was with Hunter Hearst-Helmsley way before the Nation. Way before.
No, the Nation's on this pay-per-view that we're about to talk about. Do you forget that?
I don't remember Curtis Hughes being there.
Yeah, Curtis Hughes was in Triple H's corner, actually. Man, are you forgetting the show already? We haven't even dove into it yet?
Well, excuse me, we're not having Mr. Hughes notes on my notes, okay? My God. I screwed the entire episode.
You should.
I hate
screw you,
myself.
Greg. Damn you. How dare you forget him? He is a central part to the show.
Okay, just go on because I want to smack you right now. Good grief.
By the way, if everybody wants to hear about...
Do you have a Jax figure of him?
Mr. Hughes?
Yeah.
I don't think they made one of him. I could be wrong. Hey, if anybody wants to prove me wrong, send me a picture. You can put it on our social media at PodRest Society on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So there's that. I'm actually curious now to see if there is a Mr. Hughes figure.
I know there was a Mr. Hughes figure, but I don't know what era. I remember seeing it. Because it was like very basic. You know, they didn't have to scan his face or anything. They just put sunglasses on like a mold of someone with dark skin and a suit. Yeah. That's all they had, and a hat.
Generic black guy with sunglasses.
So yeah, it's probably what they did. I mean, they didn't really scan anything back then.
No, yeah, I have the Jax figures to prove it. Everybody had the same basic face. They just made the nose bigger or smaller and gave them facial hair and head hair. But, I do have a Jax figure of Hunter Hearst-Helmsley and Goldust, who are in the opening match, by the way. So, just throwing that out there.
I have a lease of those two.
Well, how about that? I do.
Apparently, we're not supposed to talk about that, by the way. It makes it sound like you have no life, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, how dare you collect, figures, which, there are a lot of podcasts about that, by the way. Ours is just the best. We don't focus on it, but it's a nice little aside for anybody who is a figure collector out there. But yeah, it's nice to have you on the podcast after a while, Greg, with the holidays and family and everything and just life.
Oh, my schedule has been crap lately. It's finally getting back to what it should, though.
Yeah, and then when you've had time, I have not, and vice versa. So hopefully we can hammer things out a little better from now on. But I want to give a big thank you to all the people who have filled in Greg's absence. Rob from Random Ramblings with Rob, Delvin from the Delvin Cox Experience, and Two Chains from the Big Gold Belt podcast. Thank you all.
Can I just say, these guys just have the most amazing names.
Right. Yeah, especially like...
I'm sorry. People would laugh at Delvin Cox, but I think that's a great name. I don't care what anyone says. That is epic.
I got him last week because I was like, well, let's delve into the show here. I had to hit him with a dad joke, but...
Wow.
But this one, man, there's a lot to talk about. So if you want current events, by the way, what I was getting to was go to youtube.com/podcast wrestling society. Me and Delvin spent a long time just covering the biggest of the big subjects going on in wrestling right now, including the crap with Impact Wrestling. I made my opinions on it very clear. The fact that the Hard to Kill show just solidified that it killed any enthusiasm I would have ever possibly had for that promotion.
You gotta love how Hard to Kill was like a death knell. It's ironic in a way, but
yeah. Well, we talk about that, the Tessa Blanchard stuff. Obviously, we talk about just racism in wrestling, whether or not it's still a thing and whatnot. We talk about
we just had an interracial marriage on TV. It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. An interracial marriage where a Russian popped out of a cake and a woman came out to claim she was sleeping with the bride.
That's good stuff, man.
Good crap, pal. God dang. Good crap, pal. Lord. And we talk about the state of AEW and all that. And as much as I've been I've put over AEW in the past on the show. Not everything I had to say was super flattering. I'll just say that. So I'll let you guys go check that out. But yeah, youtube.com/podcast wrestling society. Good stuff on there. But Royal Rumble 97, man, the tagline was "No more Mr. Nice Guy," which was a fantastic tagline for a wrestling show.
Can I just say, by the way, I went back and watched this. I forgot how great this event was as a whole.
It was.
I loved it.
It had definite high points. I'll say that. And it may be one of the better Rumble matches, like just the 30-man Rumble may have been one of the better ones in history. It took place on January 19th, 1997 from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Total attendance, 60,477. The Dome actually held about 70,000. So this was less than 10,000 shy of a sellout. And when you have a 70,000 seat venue, that's pretty damn good. I mean, I don't think WCW ever broke 40,000 for the Georgia Dome.
They did. That's, to my knowledge, that's what Bischoff says. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were.
And that was even a pay-per-view. So think about that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that is good. I'm not putting it down, but I'm just saying, like, especially now, like WWF was doing. Well, we'll get into it. First of all, for my notes, I want to credit Wrestling20years.com, Wikipedia, which is always accurate, and ProFightDB.com.
Wikipedia is like my Bible for anything, just all the time I'm on there.
Yeah, I do get on Wikipedia for a lot of facts, although man, people have no chill. Right after the stuff about Tessa Blanchard came out, somebody went on and edited her Wikipedia that says she is a pro wrestling racist.
Wow.
Yeah, so Wikipedia had to go in and change her page back to what it was. But the attendance for this Royal Rumble is the highest recorded in Royal Rumble history. Keep that in mind. WCW is on an upward trend at this point, and WWF was falling behind a little bit, but their business was still good. Everybody thinks, well, WCW was going up, WWF was going down. And that's not accurate.
I think WCW was just going more up. That's all.
Right. Yeah. WWF was going up, but slower than WCW. They didn't have the hot ticket yet. I mean, Stone Cold was about to blow up.
Oh, this is kind of his coming out party. I mean, the beginning of it.
Oh, for sure. But the pay-per-view was blacked out in the San Antonio and the surrounding area just because they wanted to. I mean, that's an old thing where it's like, hey, if you're in the area, you better come to the show or you're not seeing it. The tickets were.
I believe they did that WrestleMania 3 as well.
Yeah, they did. That's why they said Traffic was a beast. And was it Aretha Franklin that did the America the Beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah, they said she almost didn't make it to the show because the traffic was so jammed up getting to the venue. But the tickets were incredibly cheap for this show because they wanted the sellout. And many tickets were being sold with coupons for less than $10 at Taco Bell and by Dr. Pepper.
Cliche. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, but yeah, Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper were teaming up with WWF at this time, and hey, man, they did a lot of business for all the products involved. In the end, the event had an attendance of just over 60,000 people, with around 48,000 of those being paid. The rest of them got free tickets for, contests and stuff like that. But 48,000 paid is still a damn good number, man. During this time, WWF was working with the Mexico-based Lucha Libre AAA Worldwide, or AAA, and they had several wrestlers from AAA participate in the Royal Rumble match, as well as in a number of undercard matches. Bruce Pritchard says that during WWF's meetings with AAA top brass, one of the WWF executives, whose name escapes me now, but he actually expressed to AAA that they wanted to buy their company. Did you ever hear about that?
I heard Bruce Pritchard talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, and he said when he went to the meeting, he didn't know anything about this, and the guy was like, "We would like to buy your company," and Pritchard's like, "Whoa, that escalated." But he said paperwork never materialized from Mexico, so no deal was done. In his words, Mexico is an effed up place. And he says that because he's like, when they go on holiday, everything just stops. Like, no business is done at all. So he said it was impossible to get any paperwork out of them. So they just never went through with it. But yeah, so that's the intro to the pay-per-view. I think we're going to take our first real quick break here before we get into the actual matches at hand. When we come back, we'll dive into the first few matches on the card. Not a lot of matches to fill out. I mean, because you have an hour-long Rumble match, so they keep the matches a little low. But there's some good storyline behind some of these that we can get into, and some surprising lack of storylines that we'll get into as well. On the other side of this break, we tell you about some other great podcasts on the Big Heads Media Network.
Hi, I'm Brad.
This is Rob.
And I'm Dustin.
You guys, I messed up. I
hate him so much, Rob.
Kill yourself already. Jeez.
Oh, we can't use this one. Because you dropped the F-bomb and you told him to kill himself.
Oh, did I say something wrong?
Only on Big Heads Media.
Yes! Nailed it!
God, I hate you guys.
Calling all sports fans, are you looking for an alternate source for sports news, scores, takes, and updates? Well, look no further. On Franchise Tag Sports Podcast, hosted by me, Eric Salas, with the help of frequent guests, we'll give you all the latest and greatest on sports. That's right, I'm talking NFL, the occasional NBA and MLB, and yes, a lot more NFL. I've always loved watching the NFL, and there's no better way to talk sports than flipping on a microphone and giving my opinions on what goes on around the league. Tune in every week for brand new episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcasts. You can also find us on Twitter at Franchise Tag Pod and on Instagram at Franchise Tag Sports. It's the Franchise Tag Sports Podcast. We got the sports, you just gotta press play.
All right, we're here with the first match on the card for Royal Rumble 1997. This was Hunter Hearst-Helmsley defending the Intercontinental title. He had Curtis Hughes, or Mr. Hughes, in his corner.
Oh, we're getting right into it. Cool.
Yep, that's what I was telling you. And he took on Goldust, who had Marlena in his corner. Now, the backstory of this, I don't know if you remember much of the backstory of any, especially this match, because it's not really remarkable. But
well, I've already, as I expressed before it even started, I forgot Mr. Hughes was even there, so clearly I'm not interested.
Yeah, so here's a quick recap of why this thing is even happening. The feud between Goldust and Hunter Hearst-Helmsley centered around Goldust manager Marlena. During the free broadcast prior to In Your House 12, Helmsley attempted to seduce Marlena. Goldust responded by attacking Helmsley during matches in the following weeks. The feud escalated on December 30th, 1996 episode of Monday Night Raw during a match between Goldust and Jerry Lawler. Helmsley came to the ring and tried to carry Marlena away, but Mark Merrow, who had dropped the Intercontinental title to Helmsley, blocked Helmsley's path, but the distraction was enough to cause Goldust to be counted out. So that's why we have this match here.
Yeah, it seems like a logical reason for a match.
Yeah, apparently Triple H is a perv. And we'll get...
Well, that'll come out more in the year.
Oh, man. Yeah, right. Well, keeping up with that. First thing I noticed, I don't remember, because Triple H came out, I mean, he was still wearing the riding pants at the time, because he wasn't Triple H yet. He was Hunter Hearst-Helmsley. He was wearing like the riding pants, but usually they were black with like the red in his thighs.
Right. Yeah.
But these ones were like a maroon color with like black in his thighs. I don't remember those ones at all.
Could have been special for this event.
Yeah, it might have been. Before the match began, Goldust attacked Helmsley in the aisle, but then they returned to the ring where they continued to brawl back and forth. On more than one occasion, we cut, by the way, this is showing the importance of this grand Intercontinental title match. On more than one occasion, we cut away to Todd Pettengill interviewing someone in the crowd for a picture-in-picture. Like, who gives a crap? And why are you here at the Rumble? Wow, what do you think of this? And like, there's an Intercontinental title match going on.
Well, why are you here? Because I couldn't watch it on TV because that jerk Vince blacked it out.
Yeah, it's like, who gives a crap that Shirley from Odessa is here in the crowd tonight? I got my ticket from Taco Bell. Like,
wow.
Like, god dang, this was stupid.
That's real.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Hughes and Marlena both get involved at different times. Lots of shenanigans. Helmsley kisses Marlena against her will at one point. And just like all Triple H storylines, when he does something inappropriate, he hits the pedigree on Goldust and retains the title. Why is that a thing with Helmsley? When he does something effed up, he still he still gets the win.
And this is before he was, Triple H, the man in charge. So, yeah. So you can't say he does it now because he's in charge, because he's always done it. So,
well,
just got to point that out.
He does this. He inappropriately kisses a man's wife against her will. He's been trying to kidnap her for weeks.
Well, you know who his idol is, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
How many times has he done it?
Well, and then WrestleMania, before WrestleMania, was it 19 where he faced Booker?
Yeah.
Yeah, before WrestleMania 19, he said he refers to Booker as people like you, says you're here to make me laugh, and you with your nappy hair and all that. Like, and then tells him to do his little dance. And then he pedigrees his ass and wins the title again.
Up until that hair and dance part, he could have easily meant WCW wrestlers.
Yeah, well, apparently...
I'm not saying he did, but... Well, yeah, but up until the hair and the dance part, I could have bought that, but...
Well, and then him saying, people like you are here to make me laugh. Like, okay. Like, and I would totally buy that.
Also, to be fair, I'm not like discrediting it, but like he did, just be all kinds of WCW guys. So,
yeah,
I believe he just finished up with Scott Steiner.
And then he continued on with that tradition by beating his best friend, Kevin Nash, and then years later beating Sting.
Don't forget Goldberg, too, in that same year at SummerSlam.
I'm trying to forget, Greg. Why the hell are you reminding me of this?
Well, I didn't want to leave him out of the pattern. He's like...
Yeah, just all of them. Bring them all in. Pedigree his ass right through the mat. Speaking of racing,
it is one of the cooler. It is one of the cooler finishes in wrestling, though. But
well, and the thing is, he only adopted that finishing move after DDP asked him to quit doing the diamond cutter. Because I don't know if you remember that, like his first match
I do,
in
yeah.
WWE. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, he was basically doing the Diamond Cutter, and DDP, who knew him from WCW, called him up and said, "Hey, can you quit doing my finish?" So
Yeah, because that's a number you keep in your phone. Terrorizing.
hey, it was Jean Paul Levesque, damn it. I don't know if I made it worse or
Excuse
better.
the hell out of me.
You get it right. But speaking of racist storylines, we get to Farooq versus Ahmed Johnson up next. Farooq had the Nation of Domination in his corner. The Nation of Domination wasn't like to your point, it wasn't like fully formed at this point. They didn't have any like big name.
No, this was still I think they're like weren't they like a Muslim group at this time?
I mean, well, I don't know.
Well, not necessarily Muslim, but like they were mocking them or something, or not mocking them, like imitating them.
Farooq was calling himself. I mean, everybody who joined except for Crush had to come up with like a Muslim name or an African name.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
I mean, D'Lo Brown. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's more African than whatever name he was going with in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But Crush was like the only one. Crush was a member, by the way.
Yeah, and this was during his I used to be a prisoner era.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, he had. I think they had Clarence Mason with him at this time. I want to say.
Yep. He was a lawyer.
Yeah, we'll let you guys research that one on your own. But the reason this match was happening on way back on July 22nd, 1996, Farooq Assad, which was his first name that he used until he dropped the last name.
Gladiator, yes.
Yeah. He, because Ron Simmons, who the hell can market that? The first African-American world heavyweight champion ever. I don't see anything in him. But
put a helmet on him, pal.
Yeah, helmet, and you got to dress like a damn gladiator wearing turquoise. Whatever. But he made his WWF debut by attacking Ahmed Johnson, who was the Intercontinental Champion at the time. He claimed that he attacked Johnson because Johnson was, quote, not from the streets, as Farooq claimed to be. He also referred to Ahmed Johnson as an Uncle Tom.
A lot.
Yeah, which, if there's one thing I would call Ahmed Johnson, it would not be Uncle Tom. His name was Ahmed Johnson.
I think it's funny that he's not from the streets, and then he's supposed to be a gladiator guy. Why the hell would that be from the streets?
You're poking holes in this, Greg. God dang it.
Sorry? I mean, I assume you say you're not from the streets, like assuming that Farooq himself is. But
yeah. Well, he claimed he was, yeah. But soon after the attack, Johnson was diagnosed with a legitimate kidney problem. So the WWF claimed that Farouk's attack had hospitalized Johnson. Johnson was unable to compete for several months and was forced to vacate the Intercontinental Championship. When Johnson did return to the WWF, he interfered in several matches involving Farouk's stable, the Nation of Domination, and he attacked them with, my notes say a 2x4, but it was more than 2x4. It was a gigantic freaking plank, all right? It
shadowed Hacksaw Jim Duggan's 2x4.
Right. Well, Hacksaw was... I'm going to leave the racial undertones and the junk size jokes out of it, but...
Oh.
What? I mean, I just thought that was obvious.
Nothing.
Hacksaw walks up with his, and then Johnson walks up with his. I mean, his last name is Johnson.
Just a coincidence.
Right? But this led to the angle in which Johnson was suspended for the attacks, and this was like his return. But the actual match here, Ahmed Johnson won the match via disqualification after members of the Nation of Domination, the charge being led by Crush, interfered on Farouk's behalf. Johnson eventually struggled and barely got this white dude up. This white dude's wearing like a Nation of Domination jacket. He was almost dressed like Paul E. in the early days of ECW. Like,
that wasn't one of PG-13, was it?
No, it was just a random white guy. But he was wearing like a...
That wasn't one of PG-13, was it?
No. But yeah, he was wearing like a jacket. It's not a windbreaker, but basically a windbreaker and a backwards ball cap. And I swear to God, he looked like Paul Heyman. But he muscled it. Like, I don't know. This dude wasn't that big, but Ahmed had to freaking muscle his ass up and just dumped him over the top rope into a crowd of them. And then he put one of them through the French announce table with a Pearl River plunge. So that was a thing. By the way, I forgot to mention this. The opening match with Hunter and Goldust went 16 minutes, 55 seconds. Apparently we needed that long. And it got 2 stars from the Wrestling Observer. This match went...
Why the hell does everybody use the Wrestling Observer as their damn stars?
Because that's the only source I can find, in my defense.
This was in a dome. It should have got more stars.
But it was in Texas, not Japan. So wrong
I guess.
area. But this match went 8 minutes, 48 seconds and got 1.5 stars.
Way too many.
I can't possibly see giving this any more than that. Did you know, by the way, that when they were coming up with the character of Ahmed Johnson, part of the character development was on Bill Watts, and he originally wanted to call him Buck Johnson.
Something tells me Bill Watts didn't like Ahmed Johnson. I could be wrong.
No, the weird thing is he loved Ahmed Johnson because he remembers the glory days of when Junkyard Dog came into Mid-South and set the territory on fire. And ever since then, he's been trying to replace him with an equally over black guy. Like, that was the thing. Like, they always mocked him because they're like, dude, it doesn't have to be just random black guy at 47.
He was closer to Hulk Hogan than the Junkyard Dog, in my opinion, but
yeah.
Work-wise.
Yeah, well, he wasn't the best, I'll say that, but god dang, I think he, like,
I'm not going to lie, during this period, I loved Ahmed Johnson. So.
As a kid, I did too. I thought his theme song was badass. I loved his version of the Tiger Driver, the Pearl River Plunge there. Like, good stuff, man. But, I mean, I don't know. There were a lot of people that were super over back in the day that weren't necessarily the best wrestlers. So, I mean...
sometimes it didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean...
And then the internet happened.
Yeah. Well, look at friggin' Ultimate Warrior. His promos were weird. He wasn't that good of a wrestler. But, man, he blew the roof off that place, wherever he was. But something that maybe didn't blow the roof off the Alamo Dome up next was Vader versus The Undertaker. It went 13 minutes, 19 seconds, and got 1 1/4 star. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was a terrible match.
I thought it was okay. Kind of forgettable.
It was all right. But the whole reason of this, because here's what my notes say. Vader and Undertaker did not have a substantial build-up to their match at Royal Rumble 97. Vader had joined other heel wrestlers to attack The Undertaker on several occasions, but there was no major storyline between, behind their match.
Oh, he was the biggest one of the group, so they threw him in there. That's it.
Yep. The Undertaker had been involved in a feud with Paul Bearer that dated back to SummerSlam 96, when Bearer had turned on The Undertaker. On the January 5th, 1997 episode of WWF Superstars, The Undertaker attacked Vader's manager, Jim Cornette, for reasons, leaving Vader without a manager at the Rumble. Basically, the explanation of this, if people don't know the backstory, was Vader was supposed to be feuding with Michaels, and it was supposed to culminate at this show. Michaels didn't like working with Vader because Vader was a little rough and stinky. I mean, not to speak ill of the dead, but everybody said he didn't really wash his gear. He kind of this was the era where Vader kind of was like, I think he was kind of riding things out to a retirement. But regardless, he was very rough. That was just his style that he picked up in Japan, and Michaels did not like that. So, and wasn't Undertaker feuding with Sid?
That's coming after WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, I know it picks back up at WrestleMania, but weren't they feuding before this too? Like over the summer? Or am I wrong?
I don't even think Sid was there during the summer. He actually came back in July and feuded with Bulldog, British Bulldog at SummerSlam. Right. So yeah, and then eventually Vader. So yeah.
But they kind of had to do a switcheroo. Michaels liked working with Sid, and Vince liked Sid because, god dang, look at him, pal. He's vascular
and huge.
But so they kind of switcheroo, and they needed an opponent for the Undertaker. Vader was available. Undertaker didn't mind getting smacked around a little bit. So there you go. This match. Undertaker gained control early into the match. However, Vader gained control after Paul Bearer, who was at ringside in Vader's corner, hit the Undertaker with an urn. The Undertaker did not retaliate as Vader hit a Vader bomb on him, which gained a successful pinfall for the win. Undertaker then chokeslammed the referee and pointed at Vince McMahon on commentary and yelled at him.
That's one of the first, I believe.
Yeah, that was the first one of the first showings of it's like, hey, he's running the show around here. Because before this, he was just the commentator, Vince McMahon.
I think the first real one is Bret Hart, but more on that later. Yeah,
Bret really went off on him when he went heel, and it exploded from there. And then Vince took center stage, obviously, at Survivor Series 1997. Which we covered in the archives, by the way. Go check that out. You and I love the year 97, apparently.
Well, I think
it was a fantastic year for all wrestling companies out there. But we're going to take a real quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the Royal Rumble. There's only a few matches left on the card that we really need to delve into. And, should be fun. Like I said, we got one AAA match, the Royal Rumble match itself, and then the main event, the World Heavyweight Championship match that you're all here to see. We'll be right back.
If you're like me, then every Saturday in the fall is the best day of the week for you. There's nothing like waking up, turning on the TV, and getting ready for a whole day of college football action. Whether you're watching from the stadium or from the couch that day, there's still nothing like the excitement that builds as you wait for your favorite team to take the field. The problem, though, is that for most, this excitement only comes on Saturdays. Here at the Flagship Football Show, we think every day should be College Football Saturday. That's why the Flagship team works all week to bring you the best recaps, previews, interviews, topics, and discussions on all things Ole Miss football. Tune in every Wednesday for our new episode on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, and follow us on Twitter at Flagship FB Show and on Facebook at the Flagship Football Show to keep up with all our coverage. And remember to stay with us every single Wednesday all year as we bring you everything you need to know about the Flagship University in Mississippi on the Flagship Football Show.
Hi, it's Audra,
Jason, and Matt
from Drinkopedia Podcast.
We're a bad education podcast that's like drunk history for the full curriculum.
We have new episodes every Thursday, and you can find us on most major podcast platforms.
Join us at the bar and follow us on Twitter at Drinkopedia Pod.
We got one match to go before the Royal Rumble match itself. This one was a AAA six-man tag match. It was El Connect, Hector Garza y Perro Aguayo versus Fuerza Guerrera, Heavy Metal y Jerry Estrada. Is that racist?
I ain't touching that.
This match went 10 minutes, 56 seconds and got 1 star. Bruce Pritchard had said that out of the deal with AAA, all he really cared about was getting Hector Garza on the WWF roster.
And then he would be in Nitro a couple weeks later.
Oh, my. But yeah, unfortunately for Pritchard, none of that happened. Hector Garza, by the way, passed away in 2013 at the age of 43 due to lung cancer. Very unfortunate. He was a great wrestler, man. He was even in the early days of TNA. You remember him there?
I do, and he had a good feud with Scott Hall that just got shut down quickly.
Yeah. Well, he's actually the uncle of Angel Garza in NXT and Humberto Carrillo, on Raw. So, not sure if you knew that. But the Garza family has become kind of Mexican wrestling royalty after this. Fuerza Guerrera, which translates to warrior strength, is actually the father of Juventud Guerrera. Did you know that?
No, but I'm sure he's not bragging.
Hey, Juvi was the greatest wrestler in the world of the year 1999, okay? According to Dave Meltzer.
Good grief. I want to slap you just reminding me of that.
I will say this. All of these guys, I mean, I've seen stuff from Hector Garza and Perro Aguayo. The other guys I haven't really seen much of. I know who they are. I just haven't seen a lot of them. The match was slow-paced between the two teams as they exchanged control back and forth. Late into the match, the two teams brawled outside of the ring. The entire thing can be summed up by the finish, where Perro Aguayo basically missed a double foot stomp off the top on Heavy Metal. Yeah. Then he hit a standing elbow for the win. Do you remember any details of this match?
No, I kind of fast-forwarded through it. I didn't want to see it. I remember it sucking when I watched it live.
Yeah. Oh, you actually watched this live back in 97?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hadn't started watching wrestling yet. I started watching wrestling, I think, over the summer of 1997. So I didn't even know WWF was a thing at this time. But yeah, this probably wasn't the best outing for the AAA guys, unfortunately. And Perro Aguayo, rest in peace, was far past his prime at this time. He kind of needed to hang up the fuzzy boots. The Royal Rumble match, man, we're here. It went 15 minutes and 29 seconds, and Dave Meltzer actually gave it 3 stars, which maybe his highest rated Rumble ever. I'm not sure. I didn't go back through the archives and look, but I know
that's a bit hard to believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is a very high rating for a Rumble. Like I said, I don't know if it's the highest, but usually he gives Battle Royals and Royal Rumbles like 1.5 stars at most, maybe 2 stars. But the match actually began with Ahmed Johnson and Crush. We're not going to go through everything, just kind of the highlights here. Johnson eliminated himself after Farooq came down the aisle.
I forgot about that.
Johnson pulled out that giant 2x4 or plank, whatever, and just beat the crap out of him and then followed him to the back. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the 5th entrant, and during the match he had 2 separate runs where he eliminated wrestlers one by one, and he had the ring to himself for long stretches. This was the one, if anybody's seen highlights, where he's like sitting up in the corner, acting like he's checking his watch. He's doing push-ups. He's really doing some character work here, man. It was great, entertaining stuff. And he was a dirty, nasty heel at this point. That was all about to change in about, 2 months?
Yeah. Not on his own. The fans did it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the crowd was like hot for him, booing and cheering and whatever. I mean, they weren't sitting on their hands, so they clearly cared about him. AAA and other Mexican wrestlers like Piroth, Mil Mascaras, Cibernetico, and Latin Lover were all entrants in the match, with Mascaras actually eliminating himself because no yab. They kind of said they were like, all right, we know he's not going to put over anybody, but we want him in the match. So how about you just do a crossbody to the outside and eliminate yourself? How about that? By the way, if anybody wants to hear more about Mil Mascaras, on my other retro podcast, Retro Wrestling Review, we actually did an episode dedicated to him this past week, so go check that out. Triple R, Retro Wrestling Review. But the final 5 were yes. The final 5 were The Undertaker, Vader, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Fake Diesel.
I mean, fake.
Yep, Glenn F.
That is Diesel, okay?
No, that is the mayor. Fake Diesel. Fake Razor was in this match, by the way. Rest in peace. The first of those wrestlers, by the way, to be tossed over the top rope was Austin, who was thrown out by Bret Hart. However, the officials were occupied trying to separate Terry Funk and Mankind, who were brawling with each other on the outside of the ring, and thus no one saw Austin's elimination. So he just kind of slipped back in undetected. Of course, yeah, I mean, this Rumble happened in Texas, so of course you got to get Terry dang Funk in there. I mean, as Bruce Pritchard said, by God, he is Texas. I mean, kind of is. He's the first. Him and Dusty Rhodes are like the two names that pop into my head when I think Texas. Meanwhile, Vader and Undertaker began brawling with each other, and Hart began fighting with fake Diesel as Austin re-entered the ring. Austin dumped both the Undertaker and Vader out, while Hart eliminated Diesel. As Hart was celebrating, thinking he had won, Austin came in from behind and tossed him over the top rope. Since Austin was still considered to be in the match and was the only man left in the ring, the officials declared him the winner. By the way, with 10, I did not know this fact. With 10 eliminations, Austin tied Hulk Hogan for the most eliminations in a single Royal Rumble match. That record stood until 2001, when Kane eliminated 11 competitors. Roman Reigns beat that record in 2014 with 12 eliminations. So
funny enough, when Kane said it, he was the last one eliminated by Austin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so lots of controversy with this one. This was Austin's first of 2 wins in a row. He only won the 2, correct?
Nope, he won 2001's.
Oh, did he?
I believe I just said that 2 seconds ago.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Well,
TJ's not all there, folks.
I forgot.
Damn it, pal, wake up.
Yeah, he won that one to go on to WrestleMania 17, right? To face The Rock. Yep. Yeah, okay.
And he won the next year, which I was at.
Oh, you were at the night. Oh, that's right. That's right. You were at the 98 one. Yeah, we talked about that. Because I talked about, that image of Kane locking the Undertaker in that casket, setting him on fire will forever be burned into my brain. Which, think about that. Kane was technically in this Royal Rumble, and he wasn't in the next one, but he was a completely different character, and he murdered the Undertaker on live pay-per-view.
Was Isaac Yankem in 96? Because that's got to be a record, if that was true.
Oh man, now I'm gonna have to fact check. Well, let's go to Wikipedia, everybody's trusted source. He was. He was entrant number 27, Isaac Yankem DDS. He was eliminated by Shawn Michaels.
Wow.
So he was 2 different characters in 2 different Rumbles, and then he was a 3rd character at the next Rumble event.
Oh.
That's nuts.
That's crazy. I never thought of that.
Well, there's a little factoid for any of you out there who cared. Wow. All right then. But yeah, some cool Kane and Royal Rumble trivia. But the main event of the evening, ladies and gents, it was Sycho Sid defending the WWF World Heavyweight Championship against Shawn Michaels with Jose Lotherio in his corner. The match went 13 minutes 49 seconds and got 2 stars. I think I know that they said Shawn Michaels was going into this match with the flu, like a pretty bad flu.
Yeah, horribly, yeah.
Yeah, which you couldn't tell, at least not I couldn't tell during the match. Could you?
No. I mean, he's a master at hiding that stuff.
Say what you will about his attitude and everything. Everybody likes to talk junk on it, and I get it. It's justified. But, god dang, was he one of the best wrestlers of all time? Everybody
also, side note, though, it doesn't help his argument of WrestleMania 13. He said he couldn't wrestle because of his knee. But yet he wrestled here with the flu, and the next year wrestled with broken back. So, I don't know.
Well, in his defense, that one at 14, they kind of told him, it was like, look, you're going out there, like, suck it up. And I think he kind of knew that was, at that time, he thought that was going to be his last match. So, I have a Mattel figure of him in his WrestleMania 14 attire, by the way. Which, I don't know if you noticed, his WrestleMania 14 attire was basically this attire from Royal Rumble 97 with, like, X's spray painted over the Texas logos.
Pretty much. I think that's the new Ultimate figure they're releasing, too. I'm pretty sure that's the attire. I can't tell. I mean, I'm, like, baffled. I'm like, what attire is he wearing in this toy?
Yeah, I didn't see it. If anybody else sees it,
well, I'm sure there's another podcast that'll clear it up for me, but when it comes out, so.
We're not plugging that one, pal. Dang it. But
I didn't say it.
Yeah, you better not, damn it. They don't exist, pal. That's not real. The feud between Sid and Shawn Michaels dated back to 1995. Now in the archives, if you want some backstory on it, because we do cover it in depth on those archived episodes where we covered the entire year of 95 in all three major wrestling companies at the time. Well, 2 and ECW. I think I drove some people off with that comment, but
if I wasn't here, I'd be gone already.
Sid left the WWF at the end of 95 and returned on the July 8th, 1996 episode of Monday Night Raw, when Michaels introduced him as a partner in the 6-man match at In Your House 9. Sid helped Michaels several times in the coming months by saving him from attacks by other wrestlers. At In Your House 11, Sid defeated Vader to win a WWF World Heavyweight Championship match against Michaels at Survivor Series 1996. During that title match, Sid attacked Jose Lotherio, Michaels' trainer, with a television camera. While Michaels was distracted, Sid hit him with the camera and powerbombed him to win the title. A rematch was later booked for this event right here. So the actual match at hand. First of all, people need to go back and watch Shawn Michaels coming out, because god dang, does he milk that whole I'm from Texas gimmick.
I think this is the first time he comes out with a cowboy hat, I believe.
Yeah, he's wearing a black cowboy hat. Shout out to JR. He's wearing Texas. He's got the Texas flag inside, like an outline of Texas all over his tights. He's like hamming it up, like coming out during his entrance, like more so than usual. They do the entrance big. He's got Jose Lotherio with him, who's a big time Texas and Mexico wrestling legend.
Who is Lotherio himself?
Yeah. So it was big. It was cool to see. And I always liked Sid's entrance just because he always had his name that would like spark behind him.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Sid dominated most of the match and works over Michaels' back early into the match. At one point, HBK accidentally takes out referee Earl Hebner. So when Sid chokeslams Shawn, there's no one to count the pin. A second ref comes down and counted 2 before Michaels kicks out. Sid attacked that referee, and then Michaels clocked Sid with a camera. Turnabout's fair play. And then hit Sweet Chin music to make the cover. Earl Hebner wakes up just in time to make the pinfall for Michaels.
Coincidentally.
Right. The crowd blew the roof off the Alamo Dome because their hometown boy has done good. I think
he done won the match.
I will say this, if not to steal some other podcast's gimmick here, but if you have to watch one match on the show, if you're not going to watch the Rumble match itself, I'm going to say you need to watch this one.
Go out of your way to watch this.
Yes. It only got 2 stars from the Observer. I don't know. I mean, what would you, if you had to give it a star rating? What would
maybe
you think?
3.
Yeah.
Definitely above average.
Yeah, it was above average. So, and if average is 2.5 or 2.5, whatever, yeah, I'd give it 3. It wasn't like the greatest match ever. Like Sid is never going to have a 5-star match. But I thought these guys did really well, and the story was great.
I'm pretty sure this is the first heel I ever rooted for, by the way. I'd have to really think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. As much as people crap on him.
Especially at the Survivor Series. I was like pro Sid for that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, we talked about this in the 95 episodes. As much as people crap on Sid, I was a fan of his back in the day. I thought he was good.
Oh, yeah. He was one of my favorites.
And he had that it factor. And
I don't know what it is, but he has it.
That's true. You can't teach it. You're born with it. But the aftermath of this event, as we were talking about, or as you were alluding to earlier, Shawn Michaels vacated the WWF Championship on a special Thursday Raw Thursday special.
Real name.
Yeah, that was weird. Where he gave his now infamous "I lost my smile" promo, citing knee problems as the reason for to abdicate the title. This was the second time he surrendered a title. The first time being because he got his ass beat by Marines and he didn't feel like wrestling and dropping the belt, I guess.
And coincidentally, he wasn't smiling then either.
Yeah, he was crying through a black dye. And then this one, like Bruce Pritchard talked about, he was like, I don't know, like the whole "I lost my smile." He was like, where the hell did that come from? Because it comes to, I have knee problems and I can't compete. My mom says that I've lost my smile and I just can't do this anymore. He was like, who gives a damn about your smile? He was like, you have knee problems and you're talking about, I don't know if I can ever wrestle again. But you're
because he can't smile. Big part of his gimmick, pal.
Yeah, that's. You don't have to smile. Just get out there and shake that ass.
What the hell?
But due
oh
to
my
this,
God, you said that.
I did.
Good grief.
Shake that sexy boy ass. But due to this and the controversial situation over the Royal Rumble ending, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret the Hitman Hart, The Undertaker, and Vader were all pitted against each other at In Your House 13 Final Four in a Four Corners match for the WWF title, which saw Hart win the vacated championship. Just strapped in for all this, by the way. It was vacated, Hart won it, and then the next night on Raw, Austin interfered in a title match between Hart and Sid, causing Hart to lose the title after only one day. And on the March 17th edition of Raw, Hart and Sid faced off in a steel cage match for the title. Sid won after interference by both Stone Cold and The Undertaker. And then, at WrestleMania 13, Undertaker defeated Sid for the WWF title.
You thought WCW was hot potato.
I know. Like, it switched hands. Like, Michaels.
Well, not to go back, but it started at Survivor Series. Michaels lost it. And then Sid. And then Michaels. And then Sid. And then Undertaker. All this in a couple of months, from November to April, or March.
At least Hogan, as much as it got annoying after a while, Hogan held that WCW title for a while. So, at least there's that. But,
yes, at least.
Yeah. But obviously, we all know Bret Hart went on to battle Stone Cold Steve Austin in a submission match with Ken Shamrock as a special guest referee at WrestleMania 13. So, Ken Shamrock, by the way, who wore the tiniest ref t-shirt with no sleeves in history. Looked like he painted it on. And tiny little shorts. But anyway, so there's the Royal Rumble 1997. That wasn't a bad show. I didn't think it was a fantastic show. It was an interesting show. And like you said, this was a time of hot potato with that damn title. But next week, first of all, if you want to go back and listen to last week, I had Delvin Cox on the program again. We covered the Royal Rumble 2015. So if you want to hear us just completely crap all over that show from start to finish, then definitely... not from start to finish. We heavily put over the triple threat for the WWE title. That was a good match. Everything else was a complete disaster. And it was just like probably...
Was this the one where they hated because Daniel Bryan got eliminated and poor Ray got booted out of the building?
I don't know. I was thinking about that with Ray. I can't remember if that's the one with him or not. That is the one where
it is.
That is the one where Daniel Bryan just randomly got dumped out by Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And the crowd booed. And then throughout the rest of the Rumble match, they booed everybody. They chanted, you know what?
That's
and they
Philly
chanted
for you.
Punk. And then The Rock came out to help Roman Reigns to sprinkle a little rock dust on him, and even The Rock got booed out of the building. Well, all the while,
oh, you can't please the fanboys, you know.
Well, and all the while he had a look on his face like, "What's happening to me?"
He went to the devil's butthole, which is great. Philly. Good Lord, we're getting a tweet for that one.
Right. Well, yeah. So if you want to hear all of our analysis on that one, go check it out.
This is the same like fan base that like threw a fit that their team didn't make the Super Bowl last year. That they actually had a party in the street watching the previous year's Super Bowl when they won. That's what they did. So we're talking about like the lamest fans in the world here. So, you know.
Well, we had a couple theories and stuff on it, and we were laughing about the fact that just the 1 year prior at Royal Rumble 2014, Roman Reigns was cheered like a god.
I know. And they were chanting his name. He set the record. They were chanting the hell out of his name, hoping he was going to dump Batista over.
And then when Batista won, the boos rained down, and people crapped all over that one. And then if it couldn't get any worse,
when you can't please the fanboys, you're failing.
Well, I mean, I will say I'm a Batista fan, but I had no interest in watching a one-on-one match between Batista and Randy Orton closing WrestleMania 30. So I think they did the right thing with what they did. Unfortunately, it didn't go very well for Daniel Bryan after that, but you know, that's a different story.
Oh, that's his own fault, though.
Yeah. And again, 2 weeks in a row, I'm gonna put this out there in the void, I guess. Daniel Bryan, please, if you're listening, never do that diving headbutt ever again, or a suicide dive head first. Never, ever, ever, ever. Please. No one will care. But that was 12.
Well, they might care, but not for the reason he's going for.
Yeah, they'll care in a good way that he's not doing it anymore. They'll be like, thank God, you smartened up. The next week, Greg will be on the show again, 2 weeks in a row. It's a new record here we're setting. We're trying to get back to normal, people. But next week, we will cover Royal Rumble 1992, the first time the WWF/WWE title was ever put on the line during a Royal Rumble match. And it's ironic because this is airing just a few days before the Royal Rumble 2018 or 2020, where
good Lord, your tears behind, but no big deal.
Yeah, I know. But this is the third time in history where the WWE title will be put on the line in the Royal Rumble.
They haven't exactly said that yet.
Oh, they haven't?
No. So I think they're going to at some point. They're going to announce it.
It could be, or it could be a G1 Climax type deal where it's like the world, like if you win the G1 Climax, you get, like in New Japan Pro Wrestling, you get a shot at the world champion. But if the world champion wins, then he has no challenger.
He gets the night off.
Yeah. And I think that's only happened like once or twice in history, and they've had to do something else to get a challenger for him, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, we'll have to see how that one goes.
Well, I think they already have Brock's WrestleMania opponent set. Did you watch Raw, or did you hear about Raw?
Is it going to be R-Truth? Because
God, I hope.
Well, no, he undeclared for the Royal Rumble after he found out that it's Brock in there.
Well, no, I mean Brock's going to win it, and then he's going to challenge him. So yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. This is just a lot of weird crap. But
it's good crap, pal.
Sure. We'll go with that. But all right, so we'll cover history in the making again with the Royal Rumble 1992 next week. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
Yay!
I'm glad I could get you in here for this episode. Good stuff. Always fun to cover the Attitude Era. And we will see you all next week. Later on.
Later.